The year is 2023 and this year Black Ops 1 Zombies will be 13 years old. Granted, we are still a few months away, it's towards the end of the year, but a 13-year-old game is regarded by a lot of people to still be one of the best Call of Duties of all time. For some people, the best. And I'm not just talking about zombies in this situation. The multiplayer, the campaign is absolutely iconic. I remember that mission where you grapple down into the building and everything goes in slow motion, but the multiplayer was amazing. What I remember most about that were the map packs. First Strike, can't remember what the rest were called, but it felt like, I'm just thinking back on it now, each and every DLC pack that we had for Black Ops 1 was amazing. In fact, in terms of DLC for multiplayer maps, BO1 might have had the best ever, and then we also had zombies. But just before we continue, today's video is sponsored by Opera GX. Opera GX is a special version of the Opera browser, which is built specifically for gamers like me and you, which is one of the many reasons why this is the best browser, and I'm going to show you why. Because there is so much built into it that honestly there is no other browser out there that's like this. Let me show you just a few things that it includes. One of my favourite features are all of the integrated social media channels, so you can both chat and browse simultaneously with all of these social media channels that are out there, like TikTok, Discord, Twitch. This feature allows you to keep all of your social media at hand in your browser and get notifications from all of these social media apps that you use. So I've already got my WhatsApp on the sidebar, but I'm also going to add my Instagram, my Facebook Messenger, Telegram, Twitter. You can add TikTok if you want to and whatever else you use. All you've then got to do is log in and you can access all of your social media right here on the sidebar. Another cool feature is the GX Player, which lets you keep all of your favourite streaming services in one place. You can log into Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube Music, all directly from the sidebar, and whenever you start streaming video or audio in the browser tabs, GX Player automatically pauses and then automatically resumes once the tab is finished. So again, personally, I use Apple Music, but if you use Spotify or Tidal, YouTube, all of that is available as well, and I can simply log into my Apple Music and listen to my songs whilst I'm browsing. And then the biggest thing for me being a gamer is the customization. I haven't seen another browser you can customize like this. All of the accents in Opera GX are inspired by neon lights and how they break the darkness of the night. You can customize the browser with particular themes, wallpapers, colors. You can also switch to light mode or go back to dark mode. Personally, I prefer dark on whatever I'm using. There are different wallpapers you can choose from, and then as you can see, there's loads more options as well. And another one of the many features that I think you guys will like is GX Corner, which allows you to stay up to date with free games. Opera actively searches for them and selects them personally, and often finds some real gems. It shows you the best deals, the newest releases, and breaking game news all in one easily accessible place. You can easily switch between platforms and also see the upcoming games in the release calendar. These are just a few of the many features that this browser includes. Honestly, hands down, this is the best one out there. Especially if you're a gamer, you should be using this browser, but even if you're not, it's great anyway. Oh, and Opera GX is also available on mobile. It's called GX Mobile, and it can be connected to the desktop version. So if you want to download GX Mobile, simply scan the QR code on screen. So there we go. Go ahead and download Opera GX for yourself by clicking the link down in the description. It's totally free. It is without a doubt the best browser that's available. So make sure you go ahead and do that, and thank you to Opera GX for sponsoring today's video. So like I was saying, whether you think Black Ops 1 was the best zombies or not, if I ran a poll, I doubt it would be number one, but it would be up there. But the maps, the characters, the storyline, the Easter eggs make BO1 iconic in the COD zombie scene. But how does it hold up now being a 13-year-old game? Going back and playing this game, and I still do this now and again anyway, because I need to play it for YouTube videos, or at least I used to before we had Zombies Chronicles, and all of the BO1 maps got remastered, or most of them anyway, besides from Call of the Dead. And I have to say, besides from graphics and a few other things I'll talk about, which you would expect being a 13-year-old game, on the gameplay side, BO1 Zombies definitely still holds its place. There is one thing I would say compared to zombies nowadays that I can't get used to going back and not just playing BO1, any older Call of Duty. It could be World at War, Black Ops 2, even BO3, even BO4. In Cold War Zombies, we were introduced to the FOV slider, which is normally a PC thing. So because I'm a console player, now going back and playing Black Ops 1 Zombies where we don't have an FOV slider, and I'm stuck super zoomed into the screen with a smaller field of view, is difficult to get used to, and it makes you realise having that bigger field of view, how much better Zombies feels to play. But for how old this game is, it still holds up. You might expect it to be clunky, but it isn't. This game has dolphin diving, whereas Zombies nowadays has sliding. I remember when dolphin diving was removed and sliding was introduced into Zombies, everyone was complaining, but now that it's the norm, I think we can all say sliding is better than dolphin diving. Dolphin diving isn't efficient, it's not really that useful, but it was fun, so I suppose that one, diving compared to sliding, is an improvement for what we had during these days in terms of movement, but everything else is fine. If the graphics weren't as bad, that's the wrong word, but if it wasn't obvious visually, this was a 2010 game. If BO1 Zombies got remastered, which is kind of what Zombies Chronicles was, we had all of the BO1 maps remastered, and the movement isn't too different besides from sliding, it would be fine, which is a testament as to how good this game was and still is. But the main thing to any Zombies game is of course the maps. What's really interesting about this, I've never really thought of it this way, but the amount of maps that we had on Black Ops 1 Zombies, there were 11 in total, 5 Kino, Ascension, Shangri-La, Call of the Dead, Moon, and it also included Nectar and Toten, Verrückt, Shinonuma, and Der Riese, because for DLC 4 I think it was, we had all of the World at War maps remastered for BO1. So those including Dead Ops Arcade as well. Black Ops 1 had 11 maps, which is crazy. We went from World at War, which had 4, Black Ops 2 had 5, BO1 had 11 in 2010. Content wise it was jam packed, and the maps that we did have on day 1 on disc there were 5 in Kino der Toten. Now you may or may not know this, but Kino was originally supposed to be a World at War map, but you wouldn't be able to tell. Kino, compared to the maps that we had in World at War, is a lot more complex, so you can't really imagine this map releasing on World at War. It was pushed back and released on day 1 for BO1, which might be the reason why we had 2 maps for BO1 on day 1. Kino der Toten in fact might be the most iconic Zombies map ever if you ask anyone, even people that don't really regularly play COD Zombies, to name a zombie map. I'm guessing the majority of people will say Kino, and even if you mention the word Kino der Toten anywhere, say you're just out on the streets or you're at the gym, you're shopping, you say Kino der Toten, someone's going to reply, wait, isn't that the COD Zombies map? Kino is so famous, I think inside of this community we don't realise it, but it is. It's iconic, it's an OG, and it's also a very good map as well. I remember when I first got BO1 on day 1, I would always choose to play 5 over Kino simply because Kino der Toten, for me being, I think at the time, I would have been 11, I'm 24 now, so 13 years ago. Kino was a very scary map. I know 5 is as well, but what I would do on 5 with my friend is just sit in the elevator going up and down. I found that quite fun. Kino was always the scary of the 2 maps for me, maybe because on 5 I didn't go to the lower levels where you would experience the Nova Crawlers, and on Kino, as soon as you turned on the power you'd get them. But it was still a great map, and when you wanted to go to high rounds, you choose this. That was until DLC 1 Ascension. At the time, and really for the longest time, even through BO2's life cycle, from its release, Ascension might have been my favourite Zombies map. I think the main reason for that was probably because it was quite easy. It was very open. The location where PhD Flopper was, just outside there near the Lunar Lander, was the main training area. That combined with the fact that we had the Thunder Gun, the Gersh devices, and the alternate enemy being the monkeys, which weren't really too difficult, all of that made Ascension a pretty easy map. So again, for me being 11 or 12 years old during this time, being not too great at COD Zombies, I was actually pretty good at multiplayer, but never too good at zombies. I still aren't. So for that reason, for it being easy, this was always one of my favourite maps, but it was also really good. It's difficult for me to try and find faults with it. Perhaps the monkeys were a little bit annoying on solo, but the starting area, the starting screen was cool being black and white, activating the Pack-a-Punch and seeing the rocket launch, and let's not forget this map introduced us to the very first main Easter egg quest, something which is now an integral part to Zombies and the storyline. Ascension started main Easter eggs, let's not count Der Riese's. So probably my favourite BO1 Zombies map, but all of them were good. After that we had Call of the Dead, Shangri-La, Moon. All 3 of these maps, for me at least, just weren't on the level of Kino and Ascension in terms of how regularly I would play them, maybe because all of them were difficult in their own right compared to these first 2. But each and every map we had on this game was so unique and different. When I think of the maps that we've had in Cold War or Vanguard and I compare them to the uniqueness in terms of atmosphere that the BO1 maps had. Yes, BO2 had some great maps, so did Black Ops 3 and Black Ops 4, but the more recent games don't, so instead of seeing progression for atmosphere and creativity of maps, lately in my opinion, a game from 2010 does a much better job. Call of the Dead was good, so was Shangri-La, but I want to just quickly touch on Moon, because is there an argument to say this is the most innovative, unique and different map ever? Has there ever been a map so far-fetched in Zombies than what Moon was? A Zombies map that takes place on the moon with low gravity. That aspect in itself, having low gravity, is a totally different way to play Zombies compared to any other Zombies map out there. The closest thing we have is the little underground section in Der Eisendrache, but all Zombies maps are pretty much boots on the ground. there's no floating about, whereas Moon, for the most part, you were floating everywhere, and that would change the gameplay of the zombies as well. They would be unpredictable. And just having a zombies map on the Moon, is there a more out there zombies map than this in terms of creativity? You could argue Origins perhaps, especially with the robots. Revelations, maybe. And then of course we had the remastered World at War maps, which were all great anyway. The graphics didn't really change, neither did the gameplay. They were more just transported to the game, which made them more accessible for people. But yeah, overall, BO1 is such a good game, and going back and playing it now, it still holds up if you ignore the graphics. When you go back and play all the games, sometimes I'm like, oh, this is super frustrating. It seemed really good when I was a kid. I loved it then, but going back to play it now, the control feels horrible, how the character moves, the level design isn't great. But that isn't the case with BO1. If we look at the design of the maps, I don't think they're really any more simpler than what we have now. World at Wars definitely were, so let's just ignore DLC 4 for this game. But Kino, 5, Ascension, Call of the Dead, Shangri-La and Moon, in terms of level design, these aren't simple maps. Yes, there's less Easter eggs, there's less things such as, well, now in Zombies we have buildables, there's more stuff to find, but just looking at the level design itself, I think would definitely pass today. If Treyarch were to give us those maps today on Cold War or Vanguard or BO3, BO4, no one would be saying, well, hang on, this doesn't fit in with the game. These feel like World at War maps, they're way too simple, there's not enough to do. They're too small. Everything about it for me is almost perfect. So yes, it still holds up, and I honestly think it will for the rest of time. BO1 is a great zombies game. Let me know your thoughts about it in the comment section below. Do you still go back and play it? If so, what do you and what don't you like about it? If there is anything, also what's your favourite map as well? Drop a like rating if you've enjoyed the video today. If you have, make sure you are subscribed, and I will see you all in the next one. Until then, goodbye.